I'm gonna show you how to go from this to this. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. All right, so we're getting ready to pour our first layer of epoxy. We cut solid pieces and place them underneath. That way it's supported evenly and we're not gonna have our top foam board warp. Because we're gonna be doing more than 3 ounces per square foot, we've taped our edges. We've taped it flat. Now we're gonna come back in with some weather stripping and we're gonna put the weather stripping on top. Now the reason we don't put the weather stripping directly onto the painted surface is because some of the little pieces of the rubber often come off and then get into our epoxy. So we like to put it on top of the tape. Then when we get ready to pull, we just pull the tape and everything comes off. That's gonna enable all of the epoxy that we put on the surface to be held on the surface until it starts to thicken up, and then we'll pull the tape and it'll run over the edges. So when we come down and tape it, you only wanna be about 1/2 inch from your edge. And then you wanna make sure that you push it down really well so that it adheres to the tape. All of the seams where our pieces of the foam meet, or where we stop and start and we have a seam, we're gonna come in with a caulking and we're gonna reinforce those edges and seal up those seams. That way we don't have a break where the epoxy can run through. Now it's super important that you don't use a silicone-based caulk, that it is a paintable acrylic caulk, because you don't want any silicone on your surface. And we'll let this dry and then we'll go to the next step, which will be to pour the epoxy. Alrighty, so we're getting ready to pour the epoxy. We've got 3 gallons mixed up. We're doing 8 ounces per square foot. We're doing a melded marble. We're gonna be using the Color Passion White Shimmer. That's a white mica powder. We're coming in with a Just Resin Paste Silver Gray, Blue Earth Metallic. Then we came in with a white opaque dye, 1/2 gallon. And then we took in a white opaque dye, but we actually tinted it very transparent. So we've got white in 2 different opacities. Then we have a clear 1/2 gallon mixed with diamond dust. And then our silver gray. We have 2 opacities. We did a silver gray, the Just Resin, very opaque. And then we did the silver in a very transparent. It's gonna give us some depth. All right, so we're gonna start off with our white opaque. All right, so when I laid the colors down, I laid them kind of in larger patches. I didn't put little tiny threads of color. I kind of put them in large patches. As I'm melding them, I'm being very careful not to over meld. I don't want this to become one color, and I'm making sure I'm bringing it into the edges so that I'll have plenty of material to roll when I pull the tape. I'm just doing kind of a skim. I'm not going all the way down to my substrate and pushing my colors down. I'm just basically dragging one over the other one. And you have to be very careful not to over meld. Like I said, you don't want to end up with one color. And the fact that we have transparent white, we have a transparent gray, we're getting so much depth. Now where I have large, I guess blob, lack of a better word, we'll have big areas and chunky areas of the diamond dust, which is what I want. All right, we're gonna let that move out a little bit. Now the reason I do 8 ounces per square foot on this instead of 3 is because it gives me that extra material on the surface to cause depth. And then when we pull that tape, we'll have plenty of material on the surface to keep our design. You can see how I'm leaving big areas of my diamond dust and big areas of some of my metallic, because I definitely want there to be separation of the colors. That's what gives us the marbling effect. So now what we're doing, we're coming in with our blue earth and we're just randomly putting some color down. We don't want it to be over the entire surface. And I'm just barely dragging. And as I move, I've got that color on my spatula or my squeegee. So if I pick it up and come over here where there's really not much, it's just gonna be a hint of that color every so often. I'm not putting any weight as I drag. Okay, so now what we're doing is I'm coming back with some leftover colors. This happens to be white. And I'm laying down just little lines, very thin lines. And what's gonna happen, because this is still very fresh, those lines are gonna kind of sink and soften. And if you've ever looked at real marble, you'll see real marble has fracture lines and fault lines. So that's what we're creating. These lines will get very, very soft and they won't look that distinct. They'll almost look transparent as that white starts to sink down. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, it's been sitting, almost 20 minutes. I'm going to spritz some clear isopropyl alcohol. So what's gonna happen, it's gonna, one, help pop the micro bubbles that are in it, but it's also going to cause the mica powders to react and give almost like a textured look, which is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna set my spray bottle at not a super fine mist, but I don't want big drops. And I'm just gonna come up high and I'm gonna hit that area and you'll see how the alcohol just gives that mica powder just a little bit of a texture. Doesn't really affect the opaque dyes like it does the mica powder.
RK3 has a special guest. We're installing Rhonda's beautiful epoxy foam shower out here in South Texas on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. Here we go. Let's do this.
Here we go. So you can see here, our hole's already pre-cut. So we're gonna take these and put them right here in the middle, pop them out, and that's gonna give us a nice clean look. And that's how pretty that is. It cuts it really nice. And anyways, the excussion plate's gonna cover this up. You're not gonna see it. But what I like about doing it like this is that hole holds this together and it won't walk on you.
If you're moving a chunk of granite, it's more than just two.
What I found is when you're putting it up to the ceiling, it's always good to bevel that edge. That way you're not fighting that 90-degree angle. It goes up a lot easier. There it is.
I've installed probably a dozen of solid natural stone shower panels just like this, and they definitely don't flex like that. If we ran into that with
we would have had to grind that.
Yeah, it's
and
coming
then you
out.
would have a bad reveal.
Yeah, and now you're risking carrying that whole thing back outside.
Yeah.
Nice template though.
That worked out really good.
It did.
Yeah, so that's gonna be beautiful.
Look at how clean that is.
Good job.
What else needs to talk on? It's the threshold of the shower pan. There we go. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Just like,
This is a good idea. How we're doing it right here is we're mocking it up before we bring it in and start putting silicone on. It's always a good idea to test fit everything, make sure it works, because we are working with epoxy and it's kind of grown a little bit right here, about 1/8. So what we're gonna do is take 1/8 from this top corner right down to here, and then we're gonna see if this will butt up. Maybe take a little bit off this top corner, and then we're gonna work it from there. So you can see how this 90-degree edge right here, since it's not round over, that's probably causing us a little issue. What we're gonna do is we're gonna sand this down and then we'll see how that fits. Okay, so what we're doing is when we're dry fitting this, because the wall's a little bowed, so we're putting pieces of tape so we know that we're gonna sand from here to here, and you can see that there's just a little flex in there. And so what we're gonna do is sand that off, come back and fix and see how that works. And while we're at it, I'm gonna go ahead and sand a little bit right here, from here to here, just to make it perfect. Using the sander, really, instead of using like say the 4-inch grinder, that would have been really scary. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so this one you could.
What was that? How was it?
And that's more surgical. You can really control it.
Yeah.
Watch the pipe.
Watch the pipe. So as you can see here, with a little bit of red guard and the way we've kind of shifted it over, we're gonna sand the back edge of these pieces. That way it's gonna fit nice and flush. This is Med-X right here on this shelf, and we encapsulated top and bottom just to be on the safe side. Med-X is a water resistant MDF. If water happens to hit it, it's not gonna swell. We have some pieces at our shop that we have outside, not coated, nothing on it, and they look just like the day we put them out there. So
Which was?
It was about 6 months ago. We're sanding the back edge, kind of like if we were planing it. That way the reveals are equal. We're using a 120 grit and it's working just fine. Silicone time.
Pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
Let that silicone dry, the plumber can come back the next day, hook up the faucet, hook up the shower head.
Do the glass walls?
You putting glass walls in? Cool.
Yeah, that's where we put the MDF.
Smart.
6 inches in.
Yep.
That way we didn't have to embed them. We just stuck them to it. Now, one thing that y'all have to know is the CA glue doesn't stick real good to the foam and the Med-X, the MDF. So what we did is we used Quick Coat to seam that together. That way that gave us a better bond. When we put the fiber mesh on, that just gave it the added security that we needed. Then with the epoxy on top, it's good to go. That was
Why do you put it in little blobs like that?
So the blobs, when you push them tight to the wall, it acts as suction. That blob will spread. And it spreads the surface tension and sucks that on there.
Sucks it on there, and then you don't have to worry about it.
And then you do the snakes because you don't want any voids.
Right.
You always use silicone when attaching to the wall, when seaming, sealing up where the two panels meet. And then you use paint grade on the outside in case they ever change their wall color.
Just put a little line.
And that is a good.
That shelf sits on that, huh? That's a smart way to do that.
So the reason why you do that is to help that silicone, just in case that epoxy wants to come off since we cut it, that silicone's gonna just make sure that it stays attached to the board.
Good.
Oh yeah!
Doesn't want to pull off. It's great.
we'll just what I like to do is put a bead all the way around the perimeter, especially when you have excussion holes. You want to go all the way around those. That way it seals any penetration in the panel. You want to make sure you go all the way around just for that extra security. When we installed all the silicone, I make sure that you put more silicone on the backside and just a little bit on the front, and make sure it just has a little bit of runoff slope down. That way you're not going to have any water pooling on the backside.
Okay. If you like this video and you'd like to see more like it, let us know in the comments below. We would love to bring you more content like this. Also, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, hit the bell for future notifications. That way you will know every single time we post a video. Also, subscribe to our channel. We have a full line of epoxy products on our website, RK3Designs.com. We do same-day shipping as long as you make an order before noon, and we also do free shipping for all orders over $100. So check us out. All right, guys, you know what the routine is. Don't be scared. Move forward and be creative. See you next week.